Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
Before we get to Adam's training, I wanted to open up today's conversation by talking about activity. I was talking to an agent recently about activity, and I wanted to make sure that I defined the term properly because it sounds nice, but if we don't know what it really means, it's just empty words. And I have it broken down into three different categories today. I have it broken down into door knocking, or as I called it, the ground and pound way to over six figures. I have activity for appointment setting, a bougie way to spend a lot of money and make even more money. And I have it down into phone activity. Now, the phone isn't my specialty, but I connect with a lot of people and speak to a lot of people and have some good general parameters on what some good phone activity would look like. Then we're going to hear from Adam and we'll continue forward from there. So first off, activity when it comes to door knocking. You're listening or you're watching two individuals who have probably door knocked more doors than many Amazon drivers over the course of their career. And when it comes to door knocking, here's what I always recommend that you do. First, you set your route. You have 25 or 30 leads. I don't care if they're fresh $40 direct mail or they're leads older than your kids. Just put them together and treat them as new. I personally like to organize them in sets of 25 or 30. It just keeps it manageable. Maybe you need 2 sets, maybe you need 3, but I like to keep it in that group of 25 to 30. And I always liked to set those leads in a route the night before the week starts, Sunday night, Saturday morning. I don't like to do that once the week has begun. And as you door knock through those leads, the expectation on activity would be that you're going to door knock 25 doors a day, which will lead you to about 4 presentations per day, which will lead you statistically to at least 1 application per day, regardless of skill set. Now, I understand 25 doors, if you're driving in rural America, might be a challenge. There's ways to get creative, but these are just general parameters. Now, if you're mixing in some appointments with your door knocking, let's say, for example, you turned over some aged leads to the appointment setters, you turned over some Facebook leads, you've got a small set of leads, not a full bore kind of effort. Your appointments in that scenario are merely a bonus. Maybe that isn't the best way to put it, but that's the way I saw it. If you're working a mix of door knocking and you're not working 25, 30, 35, 40 fresh leads just yet, the appointments are a bonus on top of your door knocking. The door knocking activity is what's going to drive you to the most of your production. Your appointments, when you get them, which you will, are merely an opportunity to provide additional structure to that day, to get you out the door, to tell you got to go to work because someone's waiting to see you. The appointments are going to give you those low-hanging fruit opportunities that kind of motivate you because they were an easy sale. And the appointments in this scenario are going to help you find people you would have never found on your own. It's a team effort in that scenario. Second, when it comes to activity on appointment setting, well, here's the thing. When I say appointment setting in this sense, I'm talking you're spending bougie kinds of money, or you're showing high levels of production on the career program where we can give you high levels of lead flow. So let's just say, for example, you're used to door knocking 5 days a week. You're used to knocking 25 doors a day to give 4 presentations to write 1 application. If you've switched the focus to that bougie appointment setting approach, you may not need to work 5 days a week in the field. You may only need to work 3, but it's going to require 25, 30, 35, maybe upwards of 40 leads a week to make this kind of approach work. When you're making this kind of approach, you're likely going to be getting 11, 12, upwards of 15 appointments a week with that kind of lead volume. This kind of lead activity, this kind of bougie appointment setting requires a lot of money. Or on the career program where we're covering the lead cost for you, requires you demonstrating you can sell consistently 5, 6, maybe 7K a week. Now, of course, this kind of activity where you're spending a lot to see more people in less time still requires you to have a plan B. You still have to be willing to bang doors just like you were in the other approach. I had a situation a few months ago. I'm in a senior building. I have appointments in the senior building, but I also have other leads in this building. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the appointments, but I'm also going to knock the doors like it's 2016 because I'm already in the building. Just because you're running appointments doesn't mean you're too cool to knock doors. Your plan B approach also should consist of people that have fallen off the books, people that are also in the neighborhood, people that will buy more insurance from you if you just simply show up, people that you may have follow-up opportunities for additional products. This approach, like I said, as we talk about activity this morning, will provide you the opportunity to go from 100 to 200K a year to upwards of 400,000. And more importantly, it's not just me telling you this right now. It's you literally watching Adam replicate that in real time, which is proof of concept in ways you should really be appreciative in seeing. And last, phone appointments. If you're working over the phone, here's the funny thing. In 2020, when COVID hit, many people switched to working over the phone, and that was their decision. And in a lot of cases, people switched to working over the phone because they thought it was going to be easier. Like they just thought they would sit there in their underwear, put their feet up, and people would call to buy insurance from them. It's not how it works. We have plenty of proof to show that's not how this works. If you're selling over the phone, you have to be willing to be getting hundreds of leads that you're dialing thousands of times a day, or spend the money on multi-state Facebook orders where you're getting leads all the time, or be willing to spend the money and take live transfers or Medicare transfers that will put you on the phone with people that want to talk to you about what you're selling. Again, selling over the phone isn't any easier, and it also requires a better understanding of technology. Do you know how to use a CRM? Do you know how to work through Go High Level? Do you know what Kixie is? Can you multitask on multiple devices at the same time? And most important, can you still lock yourself away and work 8 hours a day on just selling over the phone? Not your laundry, not walking your dog, not cooking dinner, like 8 hours on the phone, hell or high water. That's the kind of phone activity necessary to make telesales just as profitable as in-person sales. So there's activity for you. There's door knocking, ground and pound, blue collar your way to 100K or more. Appointment sending, spend a lot of money, make even more money in less time in the field. Phone activity, it isn't any easier, but we have plenty of ways, plenty of resources, and plenty of proof of concept it can work just as well. Now, Adam, I don't know if we're going to get any echo as I switch over to letting you take over the call today, but if we do, I'm going to run off screen. I'm going to jump back on when I figure it out. But let's do it. The rest of the call is yours, and I'm excited to hear in the next 10 or 20 minutes your thoughts on this week in the field.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I'll tell you, it was a pretty simple week in my opinion. I don't even know how long this will take to kind of run through a few things. So, but we can kind of go back and forth with some things as well. Uh, Talking about appointments, I've always been one that has been so much about door knocking forever. I never called and set up appointments. All I ever did was just put a route together. I'd always take the leads. I just always had a fear of rejection over the phone. I just was never comfortable over the phone. I just much preferred, for me, it's always felt a lot easier to get in the door when I am just already there. So I was never really a whole lot about appointment setting. I remember one carrier convention I was on probably 10 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I remember, one thing about these carrier conventions, you're always surrounded around successful people that, heck, they wouldn't be on the trip unless they were writing a lot of business. And I just remember talking to one guy. I think he was like down in Louisiana, maybe. And we were just kind of hanging around on the beach talking. And he says, he says, how do you generate your business? I said, all I do is door knock. And he said, well, why do you just door knock? Why don't you call and set up appointments? And I'm like, I don't know. I've always been more comfortable with just door knocking the leads. And he's like, well, if they write their phone number down on the lead card, I mean, heck, give them a call. I mean, what do you have to lose? He even said, like, if they're not going to give you the time of day over the phone, well, then door knock it. And I still just never really did it. Honestly, I've always been more comfortable door knocking until I'd say maybe a little over a year ago was when I finally decided to just get back out in the field. When I left my prior company, I started doing some telesales stuff, and it didn't work out the way that I would have liked. Nothing against telesales. I just like I said, I've never really been comfortable on the phone. I'm just so much better face to face, talking, sitting down on the couch, talking to people. It's just kind of more my style. So anyways, about a year ago, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get out of doing that. A little over a year ago, I'd say like maybe like last June, and I told Chris, yeah, I need the steady flow of leads, and I'm gonna get set up the same way you are with your appointment setters. He gave me at the time it was a different appointment setter. He gave me the information. I got it all set up, and then same thing. They were just filling up my schedule with appointments, and I definitely do see the value in that, uh, because if anything, like I've always said, it gives me a little bit more structure. If if they can set me up that 9 a.m. appointment, that means that I'm getting out of the house, I'm ready to go. And now it even helps. I got my 4-year-old boy who's in preschool, and he wants me to take him to school every morning. He's got to be there by like 8:25, 8:30. So makes it even easier where I'm ready for work, and then I'm heading to take him to school and then heading out to my first appointment. So I really like having that 9 a.m. appointment to be able to just get up and get out, and regardless of whether that appointment is home or not, it at least got me up and out in the field. Where in the past, if I didn't have that 9 a.m. appointment set, there would be a chance that I'd just be lollygagging a little bit. If I'm just going out and door knocking leads, I might not even leave my house until 9:30, maybe even 10 o'clock sometimes. So right there, I mean, it just gives me the chance to be out in the field sooner, to get in front of more people. But this week, all of the business I wrote, actually, I did some door knocking, but all of the business that I wrote were off of appointments. Two of the appointments generated business off of from the appointment setter setting the appointment. And then one of them was actually a door knock of mine that I door knocked like last week in the evening. It was a husband and wife, and the wife was like, well, my husband's not here. And I'm like, well, we got to get together when he is. What's a good time? And she said, well, he works a lot. The only time that we can really get together is on Saturdays. And then she ended up texting me on Saturday that he was going to be off work this whole week. So we were able to get together this week when she got off of work. I think like Wednesday at 5 o'clock or whatever. So I was able to set the one appointment, and then the other two sales I made were off of appointments generated through our appointment setting team, which, like I said, boy, without having that luxury, well, heck, this week, I don't know what I would have done. Yeah, I would have been door knocking the time that I would have had those appointments, but because I had those appointments set, it put me in front of the people to write some business. So yeah, the first sale I made was Tuesday. Um, and I had, I don't know, I might have had a few appointments that were no shows earlier in the day. A bunch of door knocks just didn't really get anywhere. This one was later in the day. It's kind of weird. I don't know how that is. I don't know if I just really, really push hard towards the end of the day because I hadn't done anything yet, and it's like time is running out. Maybe I just need to start feeling like that at 9 in the morning. Maybe I'm just a little bit more energized like later in the day to try to get that business done, because I just hate coming home without having anything. Like I like coming home knowing that I don't feel like my day was successful, or I accomplished anything if I didn't write any business. So Tuesday I ended up writing the one, and this was one, the lady, she had two policies already, but they were both term policies. So right there, uh, to me, that's an easy sale. She's got two policies that are at some point going to expire. So I didn't do anything with her term policies. I mean, they were larger face amounts. The reason for those was because she had a mortgage. She had kids that were older, but they were still living with her. And she needed more coverage to cover the balance of the mortgage, and just to make sure that if something were to happen to her, that her kids aren't going to lose the house and all of that stuff. So I wasn't going to talk her out of that, but my whole selling point is, well, those are going to expire. You need a forever plan. You need a plan that you know is always going to be there no matter what. And because we know someday you're going to die, and there's still going to be expenses there, regardless of when you pass. If you pass away and your term policy runs out, your house is already paid off and everything, that's great, but you're still going to have expense when it comes to the funeral. And that's where your family is going to need the coverage. And so yeah, that one I wrote, I think it was like maybe a $20,000 policy, 15 or 20,000. It was 720 AP, I think. Tried putting it through with one carrier, came back graded. Ended up writing it with AMAM, and I think I'm still waiting on that one to see if I get the final approval. I think I should. I kind of went through everything with her. I didn't see really any reason why she shouldn't qualify. I think there was just maybe like a multi-purpose med that they had some questions about or something. So I'm pretty confident. The great thing the one thing that I really like about American Amicable is that they give you the ability to contest the decision. If you write something and it comes back, let's say it comes back graded, or it comes back return a premium is what they call it. It's, most companies just call it modified. Well, for one thing, they show you the medications that pop up. They ask questions about some of the medications. And then from there, they ask if there's any information that you would like to provide. So that's giving you the ability to contest that decision. I'd say I probably win close to 75% of the cases that I contest with them, because I have the information to back it up. It's not like I'm just making things up. I'm asking the client about certain things that popped up, and they're providing me the details. And then from there, I provide that information. And like I said, majority of the time, they look at it, and I've met with the people down at American Amicable. I like their attitude. I like their mindset when it comes to agents, and they look at agents out there as just their agent partners, that they understand the work that's involved. They don't feel like we're out there just trying to clean sheet business or anything like that. They know that we're just trying to make a living and do a good job and do what we can to help our clients. So, but anyways, so like I said, I'm still waiting on the decision on that one. I'll probably find out something today on it, but I feel pretty good about it. If it doesn't go through there, well, then I'll have a option C. So I went from option A to option B to option. If I have to go to the third option, I will, but I don't think I'll have to. I feel pretty good about it. Wednesday, same thing, just a bunch of door knocking leads. I had that one appointment later in the day, and it was a 4:00 appointment. I actually took a little bit of time Wednesday and Thursday to get my AHIP done for Medicare. So while I was out in the field Wednesday, I had a little bit of time to kill. It was like, I don't know, 3:00, and I just decided, well, I got this 4:00 appointment. I got a little bit of time. I'm just going to go into this library here and do what I can. If I'm just sitting in my car, there's too many distractions. I'd rather just go sit at the library and sit and just be able to focus on getting that done. So I went through, I think I got maybe one or two of the tests done. And then I was in the middle of doing the test. I actually ended up getting to the appointment like 10 minutes late. And sometimes that happens to me. Most of the time, the clients don't even care. But like, if you were on the call yesterday, I talked a little bit about this guy that it was a husband and wife, and this guy just had, I don't know, he had issues with everything, and just very opinionated, very trying to tell me how to do things. And like I said on the call yesterday, I was real close to just getting up and leaving. The guy was just kind of a jerk, was just really ticking me off. But I could tell that the wife was even frustrated with her husband. She knew that they needed additional coverage. I think they had some maybe through his old employment, but same thing. I think it was a policy that at some point could expire. She just wanted to make sure that they had something outside of anything that was through any sort of employment. And I've always told people that if you're paying for something yourself, at least you know that's always going to be there. Coverage through your job, that's great. Look at that as like just an added bonus. That's just gravy because there's no guarantee that that's always going to be there. And if you're just depending on your coverage on your job, what if they cut your benefits? What if you lose your life insurance through your job? What if your health isn't great at that time? I've seen it happen. I've had people call me. I just lost my benefits on the job. I need insurance and they're not in great health. And then they're stuck with like a modified policy. So, take something out while you're young, while you know you can get it. And at least you know that if you're paying for it, it's always going to be there. So, anyways, I ended up uh, kind of going through things. I wrote a couple policies. I wrote the husband and wife with American Amicable, and then I wrote the her sons. They were younger. They were like in their like mid to late 20s, I think. I wrote them with Polish Falcon because they have the 20 pay product where it can be paid off in 20 years. I ran through that. I did the math on it. I showed it to them like this is the monthly premium. You're paying about $300 a year for a paid up $15,000 policy in 20 years. And I showed like in 20 years, you paid in about $6,000 for a paid off $15,000 policy. Then the guy, the husband, just kind of cooled off a little bit. He's like, wow, that's really good. That's a good deal. So then he realized like I actually knew what I was doing and I was actually there to help them. And and uh and so he cooled off a little bit. He was still just kind of back and forth, you better not be trying to pull one over on me. I'll find out where you live and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, whatever. I'm not worried about it. I'm doing the right thing. I've never had any issues, never had any complaints against me. My clients know I have their best interests in hand. But anyways, I ended up writing about 5 apps in that house and totaled around 2,400 in premium. And then yesterday, same thing. It was just a lot of a lot of door knocking this week, and just I didn't have a whole lot of success getting in front of people. I ended up having what was it? I think it was a 6 o'clock appointment last night. So I didn't write anything all day again until last night. I had a 6 o'clock appointment, and I ended up writing the husband and wife, and it was the same situation. The guy was younger; he was 52. He was still working, and he had coverage on the job, and they were also like so prepared with their their final arrangements. I mean, this guy's 52 years old. They already had their plots purchased. They already like had other stuff arranged at the funeral home, and just I mean, very rarely do I see something like that where someone that young has already thought ahead. And I think they had just maybe been through it a few times with other family members where they just hadn't prepared, and they just wanted to make sure that their family was set up properly, so their death would not be a financial burden on the family. So anyways, I ended up going through. I wrote them the platinum product with American Amicable that has the Everest involved. Because I knew they were all about just setting up all of their funeral arrangements, and there were still some things that they didn't have done that they still needed to pay for. And I explained to them, well, now you don't got to worry about doing the rest. With this plan, you can put the rest of it in order, and you'll be covered with the full benefit to cover all of those additional expenses right away. You make the first payment, you're fully covered with that death benefit. Not only that, these guys are going to step in when the time comes. Basically, your family's just going to have to make one phone call and then they can show up at the funeral. These guys will handle the rest for them. Not only that, they can help you put a will together and everything else. And like I said, these people, they were just kind of all about just putting the plan together. So my whole thing is just always about figuring out a way for this to make sense to the person I'm talking to. When they have insurance already, let's make this different than what they already have. Let's figure out a way for this to make sense and a reason that they would like this too. I mean, I've even brought up, like, even if he had everything set up, I even told him, well, look, you pass away, your wife is still going to be living. She's going to need to be able to continue to move forward with her life, and she's going to need money. So, I mean, there's just different ways that you can make this make sense to people. But But anyways, yeah, that was pretty much it for the week. I think I ended up maybe a little over 4,000 in 3 days. I like to write at least 5, but I was happy, at least got the 4. And like I said, majority of it was later in the day. Every single app I wrote this week was like after, I would say probably after 5 o'clock at night. Last night, it was a long appointment. They were good people. We just kind of hanging around talking for a while. I don't think I even got out of there till close to 8 o'clock at night. And this guy actually, we just kind of get to talking about things. And that's, I'm pretty friendly with my clients and that. We just kind of got to talking. I ended up, I needed a power washer for some stuff around my house. And he's like, I actually happen to have a brand new one just sitting out in my garage. I already had another one. I don't even know why I bought this one. You want to buy it off me? And I ended up buying like this $400 power washer off this guy, brand new, still in the box for $100. So that was a win too. So, so it was a win-win. So, yeah. So yeah, that's about all I got for you, Chris.
Yeah, there's so much that you said there that was so powerful but seemed so casual that I appreciate you taking the time to do it. Utilizing limited pay policies is a powerful sales tool with carriers like PFA, Baltimore Life, Transamerica. Utilizing Everest to make additional sales in situations most people would have just given up on. Recognizing that there's money to be made if you're just willing to show up and stay late and see people after 4, 5, 6 o'clock. That you completed your AHIP training and you didn't die from it. Next step is carrier contracting, and before you know it, 6-figure Medicare income in renewals. And the power of appointment setting, that it gives you structure for the day, motivation, a mindset that someone's going to be there, and it at least gets you moving. It gets a body in rest, in movement, and once you're moving, you're going to find your way into more business. We appreciate you being here. Get out there and make some money today. Don't let today go to waste. Don't let today be a day that you sit back and watch people get ahead of you. Go out and make money.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.